Welcome to Stillworks and Brewing. My name is Randy, and this is a channel that's all about home distillation and brewing. All right, so what do we got going on today? Well, today's video is important temps of distilling and some of brewing. So what I want to do today is I want to start a list of important temps, and with your guys' help, we could compile a good list with the important temps just to help everybody out. I think it would be very appreciated. But just remember, what I want you to do is put your important temps in the comments below. We're going to compile a list. But just remember, this list will be like basically at sea level. So I know the temperatures up high are different than sea level, okay? So if I do miss something, hey, please put it down in there and we'll get to it. We'll make this important list. All right, well, let's get started. Yeah, I got my notes here so I don't mess up numbers to remember, okay? Okay, so but the very first important temperature, and pretty much everybody knows, would be water. It boils at 212 Fahrenheit and 100 degrees Celsius. Okay? All right, so that's number one. Let's see, what's the next one we have? Let's see. A lot of times, if you're cooking, cooking corn or some unmalted barley, I normally like to, well, I'll add boiling water into my mash tun with the corn and barley, and it will, of course, drop the temperature. And if I can get it to 90 degrees, or that'd be 87.7, and I usually like to keep it for an hour and a half, okay? All right, where are we at? Number 3 on our list, high temperature enzymes. The best I've found out with a few different manufacturers that make it, on an average, it works best between 180 degrees, which is 82.2 Celsius, to the range of 140, which would be 60 degrees Celsius. And that is where high temperature enzyme works best. All right, so along with that, okay, so the next on our list is multigrains. Okay, and that's for multigrains that we're using to convert the starches over into sugars. All right, they work best between 147 degrees Fahrenheit to 158, and the Celsius would be 63.8 to 770. Okay, all right, let's move on. Next on our list. Another important thing to know is your glass hydrometers. The best I could find out that most of them are calibrated at 60 degrees, which would be 15.5 Celsius. And there is correction tables out there online, so just take a look at there and get a correction table for that, okay? So, all right, and I just do this one at their pH. pH should be 5.2 to 5.4, around that. All right, now the next one is yeast. So when you add yeast, I use a lot of daddy's yeast, and I think the temperature range on it, I usually like to go to 90 degrees or 32.2 or below to add my yeast into my my fermentation bucket, okay? And that works out pretty good. All right, so what's next? The next is fermentation. Okay, the way I do it, I use a fermentation room. A lot of people use a closet, however you do it. I like my fermentation That's 75 to 78 degrees, or 23.8 to 25.5. It works the best for me. And plus that will depend on what you're making, especially if you're like making certain beers. You know, they use a lot more different yeast, and temperature is a little bit more critical. All right, where are we at? Okay, let's move on to distillation. All right. Some of the temps for distill. Okay. Now, this one kind of interested me. When you first start running your still, you know, things will start coming up the column in certain times. But here is some of the chemicals and their boiling points, evaporation points, whatever you want to call. So the first one you're going to see is acetone. That would be 134 degrees or 56.5 Celsius is when it's going to evaporate, start coming up. Your methanol is 147 degrees Fahrenheit or 64 degrees in Celsius is when it's going to start coming up. Ethyl acetate, I hope I said that right. It likes to come up at 171 Fahrenheit or 77.1 Celsius. Now here's the good one, here's ethanol. That's the one we're really after. Basically it is 172 degrees Fahrenheit or 78 Celsius when it starts to evaporate and it's starting to come up the column. And of course, water. Water is, we said before, is 212 or 100 degrees Celsius. And that's when water will come up. Now, just a quick note, your ethanol, remember, it's going to drag some water up with it. Well, that's why we could, you know, you're coming off at 140. Well, let's say at 70 ABV coming off. The rest of that's water. You know. So anyway, that's a different story. All right, the next one, temperature I found or that I use is you're running your still, and you're watching your head temperature. When it gets about 200 or 204, and that's 93.3 or 95.5 Celsius, that's when I'm pretty much considering that I'm done. Okay, we'll revisit that, I believe. Alrighty? All right, next page. All right, I mean, I just wanted to get, there is so many different kind of thermometers out there. You got digital, pretty much instant. You got dials. You got infrared. And you got, you know, glass, I call them candy thermometers, which I think these are the most accurate, but they're slower. You got thermometers in your boiler, or a lot, I do, and you got head temperature thermometers. So there is many thermometers out there that you can use, okay? So to me, a thermometer is basically telling me what's going to happen. The first thermometer I watch would be the one in the boiler. And that's getting ready to tell me what's going to happen. I mean, when it's down cold, you know nothing's going to be going on for a while. And in my case, when it gets to about 160 degrees, I rarely start watching, right? And then I like to go by the drip. And I have, you know, when you're distilling and, you know, you'll watch it and feel your column, you'll feel that the hot is coming up the column, so you know that you're getting ready to start. So you really want to keep an eye on that. Mine, the head temperature, it is stick out room temperature, and all of a sudden, and you'll feel it, she will go to basically the 180 in a heartbeat. I mean, it will fly up, and I know then she's dripping, and it's going to hang out at 180 for a good long time. But then what you'll notice after a while, you watch your drip and then it starts slowing up. Well, I'm going to have to put more energy into that pot to try to keep this drip going at the rate that I want. And then what will happen, you put more energy in the pot, so the temperature on your head will start to climb a little bit by a little bit, because it's taking more energy to get the alcohol and the water to come up the column. So like I said before, once it gets to about 200, 204, I know I'm done. And I know I'm done, and then I can shut down, okay? All right. I hope that you got something out of this. It was fun looking at all the numbers and all that. Now, hey, mine might be different than yours, but my challenge to you all is, in the comments, send me your important temps, what temps you run. And I'm going to compile a list. And if we can help out some people that's maybe just starting out or checking this hobby out or whatever the case may be, hey, that's what it's all about. We want to help everybody. We want to help each other. All right? So, just remember that everything is going to be in sea level, okay? All right, this has been a lot of fun. Okay, so if this, if you liked what you saw, and please consider helping this channel out by hitting that subscribe button. It is a big, giant help. Last thing I got to say is, hey, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time here on Stillworks and Brewing. Cheers, everybody.